Hello, Jamie from Inky and Scrappy. Welcome back to all of my subscribers. If you are new here, please consider subscribing, as you will be alerted when new videos go up on the channel. And I am also a farm wife, so a lot of times this time of year and in the spring, my videos can be haphazard at best because field work. It's wonderful. So I started by stamping the hat from Wickedly Purrfect onto some Express It cardstock and then creating a mask with some Avery removable label sheets just so I could stamp my cats into their hats already. And being that I have a Brother Scan and Cut, I can just put them in the Scan and Cut and it will cut around them, so I don't need to worry about hand cutting them. I just like the look that the hat's already on them with the one line, like with the not having to add them on top. I just like the look of that, and so this is a way to get that look. I also went in with a pencil there to close up my loose objects that are around that cauldron. With the Scan and Cut, if you don't have a solid line, it will cut each individual piece out, and so by going in with the pencil right away, I don't have to remember it after I colored it, because I am horrible at remembering it after the image is colored. So this way it's already there and I can just erase those lines after I have everything cut out. Sorry, my camera was not loving that laminate sheet there, so it's kind of going to go in and out a little bit here. So I'm just figuring out where my bat placement is going to be on my reveal wheel. I figured out to add that reveal wheel onto my platform pop-up. It is fun to do it in that clear acetate look. And so I just take a piece of laminate paper, I cut it, or laminate sheet, and then I cut it down so it's not overly big, and then I will place my bats in there and run it through the laminator, and then I can die cut it out after it's already been laminated and the bats are inside of the plastic. So I'm just making sure I have enough images to fill in my scene. And then I'm using papers from Witches and Wizards from Echo Park Papers. It's the 6x6 pack. And then I will have that color map that I did with my ooooooo 320 fine and chisel nib markers on my blog if you are interested in that color map. I will have a video coming up shortly. I already took it and I did the voiceover when I did it, so I need to do some editing on that voiceover of how I come up with my color combos and a few of my tips and tricks for matching colors to paper if you struggle with those types of things. So I'm just using a teeny tiny bit of adhesive to make sure that my bats stay in place where I want them on the wheel. And I'm trying to figure out how my wheel is going to spin on the platform pop-up, so I make sure that my bats are in the proper order. Yes, I tend to switch them sometimes, and it's, yeah, I have to think, and sometimes my brain doesn't work. So the idea by the bat placement, and I kind of thought about only doing 2 bats and then like 1 puff of smoke type of one, but I decided that it would be fun to do the bat that is all folded up like he's coming out of the cauldron, and then the one with the open wing like he's stretching his wings out and getting ready to fly, and then the one all the way out with his wings over the cauldron. I just thought it was, you know, a fun take. So I have a whole story that goes with my platform pop-up with the mischievous little kitties. I'm folding all of my papers here, and I like using those pattern papers for that background panel. It saved me on a whole lot of coloring. I didn't have to think totally hard on what I was going to do because I wanted this to be like some mischievous kitties in the potion room, or maybe it's the library or wherever they're at. It lended to that stamp set with the books on the shelf, and so I could color match my images to that pattern paper. And I'm just going to add in most of my adhesive here. I will do most of that off camera. And then I will put my platform pop-up together. If you want a better instruction video on creating the platform pop-up box style, I have other videos that are a little slower and more detailed. Otherwise, watch Kelly Marie do the first instructional video from Lawn Fawn. She does a fabulous job on instructing. I can't say that I have a rhyme or reason for putting them together anymore. I just kind of, whichever way works. As you can see, I did both of these 2 different ways. I have realized that if you make sure that it's flat, because sometimes you get where it bows in the middle, and the biggest thing is making sure that those parts are adhered on the right spot, that main flap onto the front of the box. And so I'm just extra careful when I do that put together part, so you don't get that bow if you're having issues with that. And this paper is probably, 65 to 80 pound at best. And it does make for a better platform pop-up than the super heavy stuff. The super heavy stuff works. It is just a tighter fit, and you will I tend to get more bowing with that if I'm off just a little tiny bit on my fold line. So those are just some hot takes that I've noticed with the platform pop-up. And I don't really worry if I have a little bow on it, because for the most part, your scene is so full and most people aren't going to notice that anyways. I was just making sure that it was lined up right there. I was on the struggle bus with that one. I don't know why it wasn't. I was afraid that I was too far in or not far enough in, because all of that will depend on, how your platform pops up. So I have my laminator set to the laminate setting, so it's the second hottest setting. I made sure it was nice and hot before I ran my bats through, and they came through the first time, one and done beautifully. I wanted to put glitter in there, and I remembered halfway through it going through the machine, and I was like, oh shoot, well, it was a little late at that point. So glitter on the inside of that would have looked really cool, but hindsight is 2020. I'm using the black one here just to kind of help me line this up and figure out exactly where I need the adhesive on the inside. Also, because you can see the black one a whole lot better than you're going to be able to see the clear one when I get to the clear one. So the idea with this one is you want to leave a pocket on the inside of your platform pop-up that doesn't have adhesive or glue. We'll get to the part where I mess up later, but it wasn't a huge deal. I fixed it. So I ran that through my die cut machine 2 times. I probably should have put a piece of plain text style thickness cardstock underneath it to make sure it cut better, but it cut fairly well. It was just one little spot that wasn't. So to put this together here, I know that my platform, I want my reveal wheel to be up and out of the platform a little ways. So that's where this sheet here comes in, because I'm going to actually put my brad on up a little bit, up and out of that platform pop-up a little bit, so my actual reveal wheel isn't going to be that far in. And so I left more room, more wiggle room on the inside than I needed to, and that was kind of on purpose. And so here I'm lining up. I want to make that pocket sturdy. So I want 2 sides to that pocket that are going to be on the top. And I'm also going to do, later on, I will do another one. And so here's where I add my adhesive, which would have been fine, my liquid glue, just on the sides where it can have glue. But instead of doing that double-sided tape on that top piece, I decided to do a little line of glue. And I didn't have it lined up. My other piece had popped out and up because of how I had it tucked together on top. And so it kind of stuck. So I had to pull it apart really fast. As soon as I did it, I knew that it was not okay. And so I just made sure that I had it open enough, and then made sure that that glue was dry before I pushed it back together, if that makes sense. So I knew that my pocket was okay. I just, yeah, see right there, it had popped out. And so then I made sure to pull that top piece of tape off really fast and make sure that you could actually open it before the fact. So, you know, we all have issues. And yeah, it does not look very pretty for a little while here. So I was like, oh shoot. I thought I was going to have to start over. I was kind of worried, but I was able to pull it apart a little bit. And then I just wiggled that in there. And I actually don't even have my reveal wheel that far down in there, so it wasn't a huge deal. And then I just wanted to close up those side pieces there to help with that, making sure it was sturdy, that that pocket is going to contain my reveal wheel without splitting the box open. This is what happens when you're not very patient and you don't wait for the glue to dry. Hello, my name is Jamie, and I don't have a whole lot of patience. So I just wanted to make sure that it was all dry, that it was going to turn in there when it was in there and not hit anything. So here's where I'm actually going to add that reveal wheel portion to this one. And so I knew how far it was, my limit was on how far down it could be. And so I knew where my cauldron, like the lowest point where my brad could sit, where my brad could sit. And so once I figured that one out, I could figure out the placement of my brad. And so I also want to make sure that the backside has a stabilization piece as well, so that reveal wheel is inside a pocket on the front and the back. And I don't want it to catch on anything. I don't want it to kind of be flimsy. So this, to me, was a way that I could make it a little bit stronger. I just cut a piece of scrap cardstock going around the outside and then cutting it down so it's not going to show through my front piece. I have the back panel on my platform, or I will have the back panel on my platform pop up, so you're not going to see that piece from the back side. I did do it in the same matching paper as my hill is there. And that hill that I used is actually from, I don't remember if I said it or not, is from the Shadow Box add-on, the theater one. So it's just I didn't use the fold lines on it, and it fits almost perfectly in that, as you can see, in that area there, all the way across. So I thought that was a cool find on my, in my stash. So I'm just going to take a brad that matches my coloring there. So I went and found a mini green one from my stash, and I'm going to use that as my reveal wheel spinner. You could also put a piece of a stamped image on top of that brad if it is out in the open on something that's not, something that you don't want to see. The last one that I did, I think I put a piece of a stamped image over the top of it. So if it was a paintbrush or an ink pad or whatever I ended up using, I don't remember offhand. And then I'm just going to add that to both sides of the pocket. So and then my actual reveal wheel sits inside that pocket, and it spins and turns super easy and super cool. So now the other part is, so my reveal wheel is in the center or in the middle, and you see all three bats spinning around. So to combat that, and I knew this was what I needed to do, was to take all of my cut pieces and then build my scene around it so that they would cover the bats for the most part. So they're kind of hidden. So the key here is just not putting adhesive on the reveal wheel part. So making sure that you are only putting adhesive on the parts that don't move. And then I'm just going to build my scene here. So these little kitties are being naughty. So we have tons of farm cats, and the kittens are always the most fun to watch because they're always so mischievous and curious, and they get into everything, and they want to, they want to try all the new things out. And so that's what these little kitties are doing. Well, mom's away, or maybe the witch is away. They've decided that they're gonna create a little potion, and they found the little bat wings, the bottles of bat wings, and they might have put a little bit too much of bat wing potion in here, and they ended up turning one of their siblings into a bat. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So you will see the bat a little bit from that one little one. I couldn't figure out anything else to put there to hide it, and I was okay with it. It's not totally noticeable, and it doesn't take away from the overall theme and or scene of my cards, so I was all good with it. I'm using the Fangtastic Friends add-on banner here to add a little bit of a party theme here. Maybe they were supposed to be just making some witch's brew drink, and they ended up mixing something that wasn't supposed to be mixed. The two of them can't even see out of their hats because the hats are so big for their head and they're covering their eyes. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So once I had that middle scene done, I went and added my background piece there. And then I will finish off the front. And I thought about putting the table in the back, but I realized you weren't going to see it anyways. So it didn't pay for me to add it to the back. The back panel just has that hill on it. I probably could have just skipped it altogether. And being that the scan and cut did not cut around or inside that piece, I do go and hand cut that little piece on the tail, or in between the tail and the hat out. And then I'm just going to add in my potion bottle. So I have an empty bottle of bat wings there, and then an almost empty bottle of bat wings in the other kitty's hand or paw. And then I'm just going to add my little potion bottles. And I was trying to decide what to do with the hat, and then I still had an extra stool, and I thought it would be adorable if it looked like there was supposed to be a kitty in that other witch's hat there. And then I'm going to add in my little potion bottles. And I decided not to do a sentiment on the front of this one. And yes, I play with it constantly. I still play with it constantly. And then, so for the back, I'm going to put my sentiment on the back. I use the second smallest inside out stitched rectangle there. And then I stamped my image on there. And then I will add some double-sided adhesive. I don't actually add them to the back until I fill it out. It makes writing on it a whole lot easier. So I keep it with the card. I just don't actually adhere it until I'm ready to send it out. So there is my finished card, the bat emerging from the cauldron, and then him opening up his wings. And look, I have wings. So it's like a kitty with wings, right? Anyways, that is my creation for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you back next week for some more fun. Please keep getting inky.